Hello everyone, I've recently decided to challenge myself to build the absolute cheapest deck I can possibly build. The only rules for the self-imposed challenge were that the deck had to have actual synergy and be able to function. And in this case, as an added bonus, I was actually able to source the entire deck locally through my LGS. So the deck I built is helmed by Lulu Loyal Hollyphant with the Cloakwood Hermit background. Lulu is a 3/2 elephant angel for 3 and a white that has flying and an ability that reads, at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each tapped creature you control, then untap them. And if I control Cloakwood Hermit, which is an enchantment background for 2 and a green, she also gains an ability that reads, at the beginning of your end step, if a creature card was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, create 2 tapped 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. Because both of these abilities trigger on your end step, you can layer them how you like. And in this case, the absolute best way to do this is to have the Cloakwood Hermit ability resolve first, giving us 2 tap squirrel tokens that will then receive counters and untap with Lulu's ability. Please note that Cloakwood Hermit does not trigger off of creature tokens, since it states that it must be a creature card. And as per Rule 108.2b, tokens are not considered cards. After looking at my commander's abilities, I immediately went to work on an aristocrat-style build, but sack outlets are relatively rare in Selesnya, especially if I'm not willing to shell out a bunch of money for them. So after a while of searching for some decent, dirt-cheap sack outlets in my colors, I managed to get a Carnage Altar, a Demon Mail Halberg, Lunarch Mantle, Saw, and Evolutionary Leap as good repeatable sack outlets. I'm also running a few one-time sack outlets like Skull Mulcher, Glorifier of Suffering, Primal Growth, and Extricator of Sin, who can actually transform into a repeatable sack outlet that makes tokens once I have Delirium online. Unfortunately though, those tokens will gain Vigilance and so won't be able to be tapped, meaning they are spiritually separated from Lulu's angelic grace and thereby forced to live outside of Lulu's divine love. As you may have noticed, we're a bit short on sack outlets, but that's okay. I found plenty of creatures willing to die in Lulu's name. This includes cards like Heap Doll, Ronom Unicorn, Insidious Fungus, Kasali Pridemage, Cathar Commando, Yavimaya Elder, Kami of Ancient Law, Mere Scrappling, Uktabi Drake, Burnished Heart, Dawn Treader Elk, and Oashra Cultivator. These creatures are an excellent fit for the deck due to the fact that they not only sacrifice themselves, but also give us some sort of value on their way out, usually in the form of ramp and removal, especially of artifacts and enchantments. The deck is surprisingly functional for as little as I've spent on it, which isn't very much considering almost every card was found in a box of free bulk. Even more surprising is how thematic the deck feels in spite of that. The deck gives off strong sacrificial death cult vibes despite being in Selesnya, which is actually kinda neat. All that said, this was a really fun deck to build, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Thanks for watching. Would you like to see more bulk bin builds like this? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, safe travels, and I hope to see you again soon.